Hey guys, it's me, Danny. Today's video is going to be a really, hopefully easy tutorial on how to do the look that you guys just saw. So this is a soft pink kind of Valentine's makeup look, but to be honest, this has kind of been my go-to daily makeup at the moment because I really love it. It is more on the cool tone side, but you can kind of change it up however you want. So this is just my guide. Feel free to wing it and adapt it and do whatever you want that will suit you best. So first things first, my face is a little shiny, and that is because I make sure I have done my moisturizer, my sun cream, and I also have applied a lip balm. It's actually the Laneige lip sleeping mask. I've got this on just while I do my makeup to soften my lips up because my lips have been really dry. So yeah, let's start. First things first, gonna get my hair out the way. This is I'm like so nervous because I'm like, oh my gosh, my forehead. Now it's kind of up to you whether you want to do your base makeup first or your eyeshadow first. I tend to do my eyeshadow first only because then if I get any fallout, I can control a little bit more of my placement of where I want it under my eye. It might seem a bit backwards, but that's just my personal preference. Make sure you put primer on as well. So for me, I like to start with putting a little bit of foundation on my eyelid, only because my skin is quite fat and because my skin is really thin around my eyes. You can actually kind of like see the veins here, and I want to like cover that up a little bit. I also want to leave it as a good base to be able to apply my eyeshadow. So the first thing I'm going to do is wet sponge. I'm using just a Real Techniques sponge. It's a bit dirty, we're not gonna look at that. So I'm actually gonna be using this, which you can tell I've had it for so long, like all of this is like rubbed off. It is the liquid matte foundation from Primark, and I'm using it in the shade Ivory number 2. I'm literally gonna use like the tiniest amount. Watch me mess this up. Literally like that's probably even too much. Only need like a teeny tiny bit, and I'm just gonna apply this to my eyelid. So the eyeshadow look is gonna consist of about 3/4 eyeshadow colors. I'm using a palette that I've had for so long. I actually broke it and the lids come off, but it's the Flowering and Flourishing eyeshadow palette. I couldn't tell you what brand it's from, unfortunately, but this is the palette, and I'm going to be using this shade here and this one over here. So this is just like I don't know if it comes out well on camera, but it's a really like muted rose color, almost kind of beigey but on the pink side. And then this one here, you can tell I really use like this color because I hit the pan and I'm so sad because I don't know what I'm going to do when this runs out. For brush, since I've got these to hand, I'm going to use these brushes. They are really great for traveling because it's all in one compact little thing, and you've got your blush on this side, and then there's 3 brushes on the other side. And I'm going to be using all 3 of these actually. So I'm going to start off with the most fluffy brush. You can tell I always use pink for this because it's like covered in pink. So dipping into this first shade here, I'm just going to apply some onto my brush and then apply that into the crease. Just like that. The only problem with filming this is I don't have a handheld mirror, so this is really difficult to do. So I'm going to hold this mirror here just so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, the next color I'm going to use is actually from a different palette. For the next eyeshadow, I'm going to be using a shade from the Peripera All Make Mood palette, and this is in number 4, Muted Rose, I think? Muteful Rose, there we go. It literally says it on the front. And then I'm going to be taking this shade here, and just using my finger actually, I'm going to apply this to my eyelid, starting from the center here and just working away all the way up to, I would say, like the first 2/3. Next, using the same fluffy brush that we used for the crease, gonna go into this color right here and apply that to the outer third, focusing kind of on the outer corner right here. I'm going to use a mirror for this because it needs a little bit more precise placement. So just placing that on this outer section here. And what I kind of do is drag it in to the inner third and also drag it up, almost like you're making like a little V shape. If you apply it too high, to what I do, and just use my finger to just kind of swipe it, and we can correct this shape with concealer and foundation afterwards, and just repeat on the other side. So using a slightly smaller brush, this has a little rounded edge as well. Going back into that same color, I'm just going to darken up the very corners right here, just so that they're a little bit stronger in color. So just apply that right here. And again in that kind of V shape. And then if you apply it a little bit too strong and you're like, oh no, just go back in with that fluffy brush you used earlier and just little circles just to buff it out a bit. So that is pretty much the eyeshadow look almost done. The last thing we're going to do is add a little bit of glitter. So going back into the Peripera palette, I'm going to use this one here, which is a shimmer, and then this one here, which has larger chunks of glitter. So again, using your finger, just gonna apply that straight to the center of my eyelid, like so. And then on the other side too. And then we're going to use the glitter and just swipe down straight in the center and just kind of do this kind of side to side motion just to kind of blend it a little bit. That is the eyeshadow completely done, and it is that easy. You can also use the same kind of formula but with different colors. So if you want to do purple, as long as you've got about 3 shades of purple and then 1 glitter, you are set to go. So now that the eyeshadow is done, I'm going to start on my base. But before I apply foundation, I'm going to do a little bit of color correcting because I've got a little bit of redness going on and my eyes are looking a little dark at the moment. For that, I'm going to use the NYX Professional color correcting concealer palette, and I'm going to be using the green and then the peach shade right here. So I'm going to start with the peach just because it's a little bit less offensive than the green, and I'm just going to use this brush here and apply that just below my dark circles just to brighten this up. I don't know if you can see the difference. This side is definitely a lot more brighter than this side. So now that I've concealed my under eyes, I'm going to use the green color corrector just to go over some of the redness on my face. So marking just kind of over here and blending that in a bit. This is going to neutralize the redness and it will show up less when you add your foundation on top. It looks crazy, but it's a trust the process kind of thing. Now that I look absolutely crazy, we are going to put on our foundation. So for foundation, I used to just use a sponge like this to apply it, and I would put like a pump on my hand and then just dab it all over the place. However, I recently brought something and it was in my Olive Young haul. If you haven't watched that, link is up there, and it is the Picasso spatula. So I'm using some setting spray just to dampen my sponge so that the whole sponge is wet. And I'm going to use 1 pump of foundation, and that is all I'm going to need for my entire face, hopefully. So just the 1 pump. There we go. And then I'm going to use the Picasso spatula. So I actually, the first time I did it, I used it wrong. So this is what I learned. Instead of going through your foundation this way, you want to go through it this way so that you can get it all on one side. So you basically, this is going to be really hard to show, but you just line your spatula up and just kind of drag it through your foundation like this. So you've got a line of foundation, and then place it to your face and scrape it across. Hopefully this works, because sometimes it goes on beautifully and other times it takes a couple of tries. So let's see if this will go on. Hey, there we go. Any of these areas we can go back into, but there we go. We've got quite a thin layer of foundation. You have to work quick with this because you're working in such thin layers, your foundation can dry out really quickly. But just use a sponge to just dab that in a bit. And that is the first layer of foundation done. I'm gonna have to go over this bit a little bit because that's where I applied some of the green. This is really good for anyone who doesn't like wearing a lot of foundation. Obviously, I've got the green on here, but you can see kind of all of the redness and marks on here and how this has just got a really, really thin layer. It's more sheer, however, you can build it up. So if you wanted to do more than one layer, that's totally fine. I personally don't. And then I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other side and zoom past that. For the chin and the forehead, it is a little bit harder than the cheeks, and just kind of, if you roll your bottom lip in, then this will be less bumpy and then you can get some more of it. And then just blend that out. It's literally easy. The only thing left is nose and forehead, and I still have this much foundation left. So that is my foundation pretty much done. I still have this much foundation left, so I'm just going to use that to go to my under eyes, just because it's a little hard to get this in here, and obviously the skin around your under eyes is very, very delicate, so you want to be really careful with that. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of the excess off and just apply this right under my eye. Obviously skin is going to have a texture, so this is not going to be super smooth. However, you can see how good the application is of this foundation. So this is where you would also use concealer. So I'm going to put the tiniest bit of concealer under my eyes because I've already put foundation there, and honestly I don't really think I need it at the moment, but I'm just going to put a little bit of foundation there and there, and then use my sponge to blend that out. Just to brighten my eyes. Hey. Now when you do a full face of foundation, your face can look a bit flat, which is what happens to me personally. So what I'm going to use is a little bit of contouring. I'm not very good at this, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know if it makes much of a difference. If you have a normal contour routine, feel free to completely go with that. This is just what I do. So I'm going to use this brush, which is from Makeup Revolution. I accidentally broke it, so we're just gonna ignore that. And it is like an angled brush, and you can tell that I use it with contour. And I'm going to use I've got so much foundation left on my hand. I'm gonna use the Too Cool Art Class by Rodin contour palette, and this is in shading Modern, which I think is shade 2. It's the cool tone shade. I'm gonna use these two shades here, so just kind of going in between the middle of them, and because the darker shade is on this side of my brush, I'm actually gonna go this way, starting kind of here and then just swooping down just along my jawline, just to make it a little snatched. And then I'm just gonna do the same on the other side, going the opposite way because the darker shade is on the right side of my brush, and just start from by my ear and just swipe down. You can also do the whole like this line here, because realistically you're supposed to do it in like the shape of a 3, but I don't really know how to do that very well, so I'm just gonna use the middle shade and just apply a little bit here. I have I say a fringe, but my hair kind of covers most of my forehead, so not really bothered about shading that too much. And then we are going to do blush. Just like, I don't know why, it's like one of my favorite things at the moment. And I'm going to be using the Desique Blending Mood Cheek, and this is in Violet Knit. This I also got from Olive Young. I feel like basically most of the products today I'm using are Korean makeup products, but you can definitely find similarity ones, or if you want to order them, I do have some codes down below that can get you some money off your orders. So I'm going to start with this really light pink in this corner and just apply this just over in this area here, and I'm just going to kind of roll it and like dab this in. I feel like this once you have foundation on, like blush really kind of ties it together. It's like really natural, kind of rosy looking glow, and I really love it. And just to make it pop a little bit more, I'm going to use this slightly darker pink shade just in this bottom here. And instead of applying it as far as I did, I'm just going to apply it to this section right here. Yay! Oh, I feel like everything looks so much better once blush is done. So that is blush done and pretty much the face section done. I'm gonna go back to my eyes now. I know this sounds really backwards, but this is how I usually put my makeup on. Another great thing about this, you know, I said this is the blush brush. If you just twist it, it goes like into the main section, and then you can just do this, and then you don't get like bent bristles. I'm gonna put a little bit of eyeshadow underneath my eye, and to do that I'm going to use the last of the brushes from this set, and it's this rounded brush but it's flat, so it's a little bit more precise than the other ones where it's like kind of more for blending. And I'm going to go back to this palette again and use both those colors. So I'm going to start with this one and just apply a little bit on the outer corner of my eye and just blend that into here, dragging it just to kind of where, if you're looking straight on, I put it up to where my iris hits here. And then doing slightly less, not going as far in, I'm going to do that with the darker color. I'm really focusing on the outer section right here and not really dragging that too far in. While we're on the bottom, I'm going to use this pink eyeliner. I actually got this from AliExpress, but it's just a brush liner in this pink color. I'll just show you here. Oh my gosh, you can't even see it on camera. It's like a really light pink color, and I'm going to apply that to the inner third. The last thing I'm going to do for the under eye is I'm going to clean off this brush that we used earlier, just to make sure there's no pink left on it. And then going back into that chunky glitter, I'm going to apply a little bit to the inner corner, just to highlight that inner corner. I think it looks really cute. Now the most daunting part for beginners is probably going to be eyeliner. I'm just going to do what works for me personally. If you've got a similar eye shape to me, then try it out, see if you like it. If you know what works for you, do that. I'm going to be using the Heroine Make Smooth Liquid Eyeliner in the black. You can use a dark brown as well if you'd like to go for a little bit of a softer look. I'm going to line my lid, and then I'm going to do a little wing on the outside with a little bit of an angle going upwards. And you really want to use a really light hand with this eyeliner, especially if it's new. There we go, and then just connect them up. And that is the eyeliner, and I'm going to repeat on the other side. So this is where you would usually curl your eyelashes. I've actually misplaced my curler, and to be honest, I don't really use it that often. So curl your lashes. If you want to use falsies, you can use falsies too. I'm just going to use mascara, especially since this is kind of like a beginner tutorial. So if you've never put false lashes on before, it is fine. If you used eyelash curler, use that. And then I'm using the Heroine Make Long and Curl Advanced Film Mascara. And just using a little zigzag motion, I'm going to apply it to my lashes, trying to keep them a little bit separated. And you don't want to apply really from the base. I try and apply from the middle of the lashes to the end, and then just apply to the very ends, just in little strokes like this. You see the difference? This is by far my favorite mascara of all time. The only thing I will say, if you buy this, I would really recommend buying the remover as well, because this stuff is waterproof. Like, I have cried in this, no running mascara. I have sweat in this, no running mascara. I have used micellar water and it does not come off. You do need an oil cleanser, or as I said, they do sell a remover as well, because this stuff is staying on. And that is the eye makeup done. The last step to finish the entire makeup look is lips, and I'm going to be using the Rom and Blur Fudge tint, and this is in shade 6 Mauvish, not that you can really see it on there. And I'm just gonna apply this to my lips and then smudge out the corners. And then, as I said, just smudge out the edge just for that slightly overlined and just like a little softer look. And the very last thing is, because this is matte, I actually kind of think I would prefer something a little bit more glossy for this. So I am using this lip plumping sparkly kind of gloss that I have. Packaging has like rubbed off. I think it's by Essence. If I can find it, I will put it up on the screen with the other ones. But I'm only going to apply this to the very center of my lips. That is the makeup done. I'm going to sort out my hair and possibly change outfit, and I'll show you guys the finished look. So the last thing that I actually forgot to do was to put highlighter on. So I used a little bit of this liquid highlighter from Revolution, and this is in the shade Liquid Blood Dragon. I've got a little bit on the back of my hand. You can see it is a pink highlighter, and I've just applied it here on my cheekbones and a little bit on the tip of my nose. And that is the makeup look finished. I hope you managed to learn something from this, or at least take a little bit of inspiration. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys are spending your Valentine's Day. Are you spending it with your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend? Or are you having a Galentine's Day date? Or are you just into the whole anti-Valentine's Day thing? I would love to know. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye bye.